Hey, good morning, y'all. Josh of Severe Weather. Happy Monday to you. It is the first day of astronomical spring, and usually with spring comes insane amounts of severe weather and crazy weather. And certainly we're going to be talking about that this week. We've got a lot of severe weather on the table. Let me share my screen with you here. And we're going to take a look at a big storm heading into California early this week that's going to track across the central part of the country and head into the Northeast, New England, and Eastern Canada at the end of the week. We're likely to see some outbreak of severe weather, including tornadoes across parts of the South as we get into Thursday and Friday. Some wintry weather north of the storm track as we head into the Great Lakes and especially New England, southeastern Canada, even into the Maritimes of Canada. And out west, another atmospheric river hitting California here over the next few days. Heavy rain at the coast, heavy mountain snow, and possible significant flooding once again in the wet season that doesn't seem to want to come to an end for California and Southwest Oregon, as well as Nevada and Arizona. Boy, has it been quite a flip from the long-term drought we've been in. So let's take a look at the current hazards from the National Weather Service. This area of the southeast looks pretty scary, but it's just a freeze warning as we have a cold morning here across the southeastern part of the country, really the entire eastern part of the country, dealing with some delayed end of winter here. And that will continue to be the case tonight and tomorrow morning before temperatures quickly return to average for the middle of the week and even above average towards the end of the week. So we do have a big flip coming. Out west, we have high wind watches. We've got flash flood watches in effect for parts of California, Arizona, Nevada, and winter storm warnings in effect again for the mountains. And some places are going to be topping 700 plus inches of snow this winter. If you're in the Northeast or Mid-Atlantic or even the Carolinas and you've been wishing for winter, well, I think the folks in California might want to play tradesies with you here. It's just been really a crazy winter season out west. Boy, I mean, no one really could have predicted this. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. No one could really predict it. Just like we can't predict a perfect bracket in March Madness or anything else. I mean, the future is the future. It's up to God. So anyway, that is what we're dealing with. In the north central parts of the U.S., we are going to also see more snow in the Dakotas and Minnesota. And again, these folks don't really want to see that, but that's what we're getting here as winter hangs on a little bit longer. Now, as we get later into the week, we are likely going to see an outbreak of severe weather once again. This is kind of an overview on pivotalweather.com of the places that'll get hit. And the next few days won't be super active. We'll start to see a marginal risk here across Kansas and Nebraska. Let me bring that up for you guys to see here. Kansas City, maybe up to the south of Omaha and even into far western Illinois, a marginal risk of severe weather Wednesday evening. Now, as we get into Thursday, man, why does it even do that to me? I don't know. Okay, Thursday, we likely see some severe weather by the afternoon, continuing into the night across Oklahoma, northern and central parts of Texas. And then as we get farther east on Friday and especially Friday night, a likely outbreak of severe weather, which includes tornadoes, damaging winds, and some hail. And I think it's going to be centered on Mississippi and northeastern Louisiana, but I would not be completely shocked to see this get it adjusted northward towards the Ohio River, including far southern parts of Indiana and Illinois and southeastern Missouri. But likely by the time we get later into Friday night and Saturday, this will start to wind down and a quieter weekend, but we still have to keep an eye on the Carolinas for maybe some isolated severe weather. Here's a look at the upper air chart from the GFS model. We see this big storm bowling into California here tomorrow and tomorrow night. And then that is going to move on to the plains here Wednesday night and Thursday. We'll start to see increased vorticity, a ridge of high pressure building back into Florida here Thursday and Friday. And where this jet goes up and over that ridge is where the threat for severe weather is greatest. This is Friday afternoon, and we continue into Friday night, and we see yet another push right behind it here. That's going to keep sustained severe weather going across parts of Dixie Alley here for later Friday night into Saturday morning. When it gets to the East Coast, we could be in for some storms all the way into the Mid-Atlantic region, maybe New York City, New Jersey here Saturday afternoon and evening. That's something I'll be watching for you guys as well. Here's a look at the upper level amounts of wind shear, the bulk shear from the surface to 500 millibars. And obviously the areas of red are places to watch south and east of there. So we've got to watch parts of the deep south as we head into Friday and Friday night. You'll see things kind of fall apart as we get into Saturday and Saturday night as the storm tracks into the northeast. So I think our best chances are going to be across parts of the deep south and here, but we'll have a few more days to, of course, narrow that down. Now, moisture is going to return as this storm moves into California here tomorrow and tomorrow night. We will also have kind of a leading disturbance that comes out into the central plains, and that will draw some moisture back into Texas and the southern plains. Now, initially, we're not talking about a big severe weather outbreak, but as this storm in California jumps over the mountains and then redevelops in Oklahoma, this is Thursday evening, we see quite a bit of moisture and fast flow aloft in the lower levels of the atmosphere. And the stronger those winds get at this level, the more you have to worry about sustained severe weather. I mean, that just goes to just pretty much common sense, right? The more wind you have to draw from, the more thunderstorms can organize and produce damaging winds. So as we get into Thursday night, you can see a broad low pressure system moving through Oklahoma and into Arkansas. And then as we get to Friday afternoon, Friday night, those winds are fairly strong over parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. And I'm actually going to see if I can zoom in for you guys to see that. Here we go. We'll do South Central here. And we'll go back here to Thursday. So Thursday, pretty intense wind aloft here across central and north Texas into Oklahoma. Thursday night, we have kind of another push coming through East Texas and northwestern Louisiana. And then Friday, you can see this secondary push into Louisiana, Mississippi, southeast Arkansas, maybe getting up into Tennessee. It's moist enough in Tennessee for severe weather, but we may not have the strongest winds that far north. We may have a lot of cloud cover, and typically speaking, that can somewhat reduce the chances for supercell storms to get going. Here's a look at the surface chart, the GFS. You can see kind of a leading shortwave coming across Missouri and Arkansas here tomorrow, and some snow likely to get going here across places that just don't want to see any more snow. Northern and central Minnesota, northwest Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan. This is tomorrow night and into Wednesday morning. We do see some lighter showers over the Ohio Valley, probably not any severe weather at that point. But then as our low pressure system that's battering California here tomorrow, you can see big time low off the Bay Area, big time rain in central and southern Cal and snow. This is tomorrow and into tomorrow night. And it's going to be nasty across the Rockies, a big snowstorm once again, maybe blizzard conditions in the Colorado Rockies and northwestern New Mexico. But that low moves into Kansas Wednesday night, and we could see some storms initiating late Wednesday night in eastern parts of Kansas into northern Missouri, and snow developing here across the Dakotas and northern Wyoming and northern Nebraska Wednesday night. That will spread eastward and kind of shear itself out while a bigger storm tracks through Ontario and Quebec. So New England will see more snow in the north, but Buffalo, New York, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Chicago, down to St. Louis, we're just looking at some cloudy skies and showers throughout the day on Thursday. Now we'll see storms popping up here across the dry line region of Texas and Oklahoma. This is Thursday around 5, 6 o'clock, and then those will spread eastward. We could see severe weather Thursday night into central and east Texas, as well as southeast Oklahoma and into western parts of Arkansas. And along our front, a lot of heavy rain expected right on the Ohio River, anywhere from Cape Girardeau and those areas on into southern Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and western PA. We've got significant amounts of rain coming once again. So flash flooding could be an issue as we get here into Thursday night. Now, as we head into Friday morning, we'll see that wave move eastward into the mid-Atlantic. You've got a front here dividing very warm air over the southeast with much cooler air over New England. Where that front sets up, that is the focus zone for heavy amounts of rain. We also have stronger winds expected as we have this warm air coming right out ahead of this high pressure zone and up to the front. So a lot of gusty winds expected Friday in the deep south. Now we're expecting organized storms to track eastward through the Mississippi Delta region and Louisiana here in the afternoon Friday. Friday night, we continue to see potential severe weather moving into northwest Alabama and then overnight through central Alabama into East Tennessee and northwestern Georgia. As this low tracks up into Ohio, I think the threat for severe weather starts to wane late Friday night and early Saturday morning. But during the day Saturday, we could still see potentially gusty storms over the Carolinas and eastern Georgia into Virginia and Maryland and Pennsylvania. The GFS is showing an intense cyclone that's beginning some, not quite a bomb cyclone, but it's deepening quickly. So winds are going to crank up big time. You can see a big front right here from western New York through central PA and down south. And along and ahead of it, there may be enough wind for some locally strong storms over central and eastern PA down into Maryland and the Delmarva Saturday afternoon. So there could be some severe weather next weekend in the mid-Atlantic region. On the cold side of this storm, we've got this front right here. We've got some frozen precipitation over central New England, intense snow potentially over parts of Maine and New Hampshire. and some backlash snow across Ontario. It'll be rain in Toronto, but you get west towards Hamilton and London, and then up into southern Quebec, and we could be dealing with an all-out snowstorm with localized blizzard conditions. So a very dynamic storm system here at the start of the weekend, and that is going to move east. And no snow for New York City, probably no snow for Boston, but again, the places that have seen quite a bit this winter continue to see snow right on through the weekend into the Maritimes of Canada. So yeah, a very intense storm coming. And you'll see temperatures, while they're cold right now, we're going to start to rebound here tomorrow. Back into the 70s across Texas, 60s in Florida, so still a little bit cool for you. But Wednesday is that transition day as we get back into the 80s in Texas, 70s and low 80s in Florida, and 50s and 60s in the mid-Atlantic on Wednesday. Remember how about a week ago Wednesday we were looking at potentially a storm coming up the East Coast? Well, that is heading out to sea. High pressure is going to regenerate here, and we're going to warm up pretty quickly here starting on Wednesday. And especially Thursday, look how warm it is all the way up into central Illinois and southwest Ohio, 60s and low 70s. And as we get to Friday, very warm across the southeast, mid 80s in the Carolinas down to Florida, and on the Gulf Coast, low 80s. And then starting to turn colder across the Great Lakes. So we go from the 70s in southern Illinois back into the 40s here for Friday, and it will be raining. So some pretty nasty weather. So typically in late March, we see extreme temperature gradients. That will continue to be the case here right into Saturday. 50s and 60s in the mid-Atlantic region in here. Philadelphia, 67 Saturday. But you go up to Scranton, it's about 41, 42 degrees. Albany is going to be about 37, 38. And across northern New England, we're stuck in the 20s. So we go from the 20s in New England to the 60s in Pennsylvania and South Jersey. And it seems like February was like that quite a bit. But now we're in March and the sun angle is stronger. And that could certainly kind of add some intensity to the storms that we get across this part of the region this time of the year. In the shorter term, let's look at the west, and you can see here's our low pressure off of the Oregon coastline. We see snow across much of the interior of the west, rain in Washington and Oregon. Here's part two. This is our atmospheric river moving in overnight tonight into southern Cal, and it's aimed right at Point Conception, right at LA and Orange County. A lot of rain expected here from the Bay Area right down the coast. Flash flooding certainly will be possible. Heavy mountain snow. You can see these deeper blues here over the Sierra Nevada tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. And this low is going to take until Wednesday morning to leave California and then move into the southwest. So a lot of rain is expected here once again. Let me zoom in and show you all that. We'll just look at California because that'll be easiest. And we see amounts that could get up over 4 inches in parts of LA County around the San Gabriel Mountains, 2 to 3 over the foothills region, and the Bay Area could see about another inch of rain. So not as much as some of the storms we saw in February, but still very intense. Certainly not welcome at this point, even though we are in a longer term drought, but we don't want too much of a good thing either. That's something to watch for. We do have a boundary here this afternoon that's going to bring some light snow into parts of Michigan, Ontario, and Quebec, even clipping northern New England. Here comes the next part of that boundary. It lifts north, and the NAM is spitting out kind of a light snow from the Dakotas and Minnesota eastward. As we get into tomorrow night, that snow picks up in intensity just north of the Twin Cities. This is around midnight or 11 o'clock central, and too warm for any snow in Iowa at this point, but heavy snow over central parts of Minnesota into northern Wyoming, and then spreading through the UP and the Superior region Wednesday morning, and that is going to spread east. This is the precursor to the next storm, which hits here on Friday into early Saturday, and I'll show you snow totals for that in just a minute. Out west, big snow expected here. Through the week, we're going to see amounts totaling 30 to 50 inches in the higher elevations, maybe 60 to 70 in central Cal. And the Cascades are going to get hit with very heavy snow. And we'll see snow in the mountains of southern Cal as well. Not blizzard conditions like we saw last month, but certainly still heavy snow, making for very difficult travel. As we go eastward here, we see this kind of leading amount of snow, maybe up to as much as a foot of snow in the Arrowhead around Duluth and on up the shoreline of Lake Superior here. This is just kind of the leading edge storm. Here comes the next wave, though, over the weekend, and we could see some lighter snow over northern parts of Ohio, western PA, and western New York. Not Pittsburgh, of course, but heavier amounts on the Canadian side once again. So amounts over a foot here in parts of Ontario and Quebec right on through the weekend. And this is centimeters now, and I'll take you into this next weekend storm, and we see likely 30 to 60 centimeters from Ontario into Quebec, into the St. Lawrence Valley, and into northern parts of New Brunswick. On the south coast, lesser amounts, but still perhaps 15 to 30 centimeters of fresh snow, which is just more of the madness from what we've seen all winter. And across Atlantic Canada here, we see this first wave will bring us between 20 and 40 centimeters of fresh snow. And the next wave cuts through a little bit farther south and hits eastern Nova Scotia. Should avoid much of Newfoundland as we get through the weekend. Thank you all so much for your time today. Hope you have a wonderful week. I am not going to be able to do a video tomorrow. I'm actually going to be on the road. Hotel internet can be shaky, so I'm not going to really have to fuss with YouTube with that, but I'll give you all some updates. If you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, I very much appreciate that. And thank you to all who donated to my St. Baldrick's Foundation fundraiser. As I shaved my beard, you could probably tell. Look a little bit younger, but I don't know. I kind of miss the beard. I think it's going to be looking nice when it comes back this fall here. So as it gets warmer, though, I think clean shaven is what works best for me. So anyway, I appreciate you all so much for your time today. God bless you. I want to give all the glory to God, who gives me strength and has called me to do these videos and share my faith with you. And 2 Samuel 31 through 33, as for God, his way is perfect. The Lord's word is flawless. He shields all who take refuge in him. For who is God besides the Lord? And who is the rock except our God? It is God who arms me with strength and keeps my way secure. If you are looking for guidance, if you're looking for strength, security in eternal life, then the Lord is there for you. I mean, that is in the Word of God. He created all of us. He is perfect. We are not meant to be perfect, but we are able to take refuge and comfort in knowing that he is there for us. And I'm happy to pray for you. Any spoken or unspoken words, if you are dealing with a difficult situation right now and need prayers and need some refuge from God, I would love to pray for you, as he has meant so much to me. Anyway, thank you guys so much for your time this morning. We'll talk again on Wednesday. God bless you.